Hello, if you are watching this, you are likely looking for answers to addressing government or industry regulations, pressure from customers, a past incident, or cyber liability insurance underwriting, and you're struggling to find a path to move forward. James, how do you help people solve some of these problems?
The first thing we really want to help our clients understand is that it's a mentality shift. It's not just a one and done, make a checkbox and move on with your life. We really need to make this part of your everyday operations. Once we've done that, we really want to come alongside our clients and help them build a strategy to understand where they're at and where they're going to go, how to address these problems. They need to understand the risk and the impact to their organization. And especially if you aren't technical, this can be intimidating and you might need a little bit of help. Mm-hmm. And we like to try and bring some tools alongside and help our clients interpret those. Finally, once you have all that, you have to hook it together. And because you know where the gaps are and where the risks and impacts would be, you need to then prioritize what you're going to do. None of us have infinite money or time or resources, so we have to make good decisions about how we're going to proceed.
Well, you can't solve everything at the same time, James, so that's part of making a priority and a plan. So, hi, I'm Nate, by the way, and this is James. We're from Mytech Partners. Welcome to this Mytech brief episode on our cybersecurity leadership and advisory services. Now let's get started with exploring the typical aspects and the ways in which we help walk alongside your team through this process and help build your internal capabilities as a coach along your journey. All right, James, so let's talk about the first most important issue that we deal with the most commonly, which is like, look, you need to start with a baseline and really kind of understand where your gaps are. So we use a framework to help execute this consistently. Every client has their unique requirements and nuances. However, the standards and controls are defined so we can give a prescriptive, prioritize, kind of what you said earlier, is help build that plan and prioritize it. And it's really mapped for simplified best practices to mitigate cyber risk. Okay, so with that said, how do you help clients deal with starting with the baseline and understanding their gaps?
Hey, we have to pick a good baseline. We have to pick one that is applicable to our clients, that we believe in, that the industry really internationally has come to believe is a really good prescriptive best steps forward. We use the CIS controls. These are free and open source. In fact, right up here you can see there's a spot, if you will help link them at the end, but you can just download them yourself and go through them. And these exact same ones that we would use. And you just get a whole list of things that you can take a look at and help you understand, are we doing that or not? Once we have that allows us to kind of like see, okay, if this is what good will look like, that we can take a look at where you are and we can start assessing where are our gaps and what should we be doing about that. CIS controls are great. They can map to a number of different control frameworks or compliance regimes. If you have anything from the government to a industry regulation, there's probably a path from here to those places. So we really like starting with CIS controls.
And CIS stands for the Center for Information Security. For those of you who don't know, there's plenty of acronyms in our world.
Yeah.
The other thing, James, that I know that you like about the CIS controls is that you can give visibility to the team, the client, the company, so they can see the impact and effect. I don't know, is there anything there that you typically like to show relative to kind of creating that visibility for the client?
Yeah, one of the things we like to bring forward is we like to bring in partnership with CIS that we've joined up, show the controls and how the safeguards have been assessing. Go through and bring that so that the clients can really engage, make it their own, and take it to stakeholders internally. It's great for one person in the organization to go through this exercise of whether or not a thing is maybe good enough or not, but it doesn't really help until the whole organization can buy in. So we like displaying whatever we're working with, where we can go into a control, talk through the different safeguards and see how well they're performing, and we can say why one is good or not good collectively and have a conversation about what we might want to do about that to make it better.
That's good. I know one of the challenges is that the whole point of this is that operational mindset change from a one-time project, security project, to an operational component, and this gives you the ability to visualize that and work on the things you want to impact change on. So that's good. So that's the first step, right? Starting with the baseline, understanding your gaps. But now that you've had the baseline done, there's one area in particular that we call out because it's right now in the small and medium business world, it is probably the most underserved problem, which is vulnerability management. So digging another layer deeper, James, and I know the CIS controls addresses this. Can you talk about vulnerability management? why it's important, and how it's different. And I like to call it out is why it's different from patch management, and why is it different from patch management, and why does it necessitate a different approach?
Yeah, most people know patch management to some level. Every month Microsoft sends out updates, you better put them on, right? Patch management is very defined. There's a set of things we want to update, and we put the updates on them, and did we or didn't we? But a vulnerability management program is much more comprehensive. Everything in your organization could potentially have vulnerabilities you might not even be aware of. And it could be Microsoft updates not applying correctly, but it could be a browser. It could be a very important business app that has maybe a tiny little component. The idea is that a bad guy will find these things if they somehow get inside your network. You, as a prudent person who wants to take care of your organization, should have some understanding of where those are and what we can do about that. As a non-technical person, that's not something you're just going to intuitively know. So what do we do? It definitely is called out in CIS that you have to have some ability to do this. We've worked with some partners and we've located a tool that will let us do vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability management requires you to have something goes looks for these things. So you have to have something going out, hunting around, finding them, coming back with, we see these vulnerabilities, we see these problems in your environment. But that's not enough. You also then need to take that information and get it out of that system and make some decisions about it. You have to decide, is this really a big deal or isn't it? And this can be intimidating, but this is where we like to come alongside our clients and help them understand what would be the impact if this happened? How widespread is this thing? Do you still need this thing, or can we do something to fix it?
Yeah, and I think one of those problems that we've seen is that you can't solve all problems at the same time, like we mentioned earlier, but it could be something really simple and easy, just update this piece of software. It could be something like you illustrated that's part of a line of business application, and you might need to upgrade to a completely different version, and there might be support things you need to do with.
Yeah.
So it's not just, it's not always just an easy fix. And one of the examples I remember you mentioned before, James, was a client who had, there were some printer vulnerabilities, and the client decided like the risk of this vulnerability of the cost of going around and updating the firmware on all their printers inside their entire organization wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
So they decided to not do it.
Yeah, which is legitimate. That's a business level discussion. These are not just things that IT can just know. They're going to have to talk to somebody to help make a decision. Is it time to address this? Maybe we need to push this out a while. Maybe just replace those assets. Maybe we just live with it.
And so the other thing that we like to mention around vulnerability management is that what we've also seen, and James has seen this more than I have, but cyber liability insurance we've seen addendums that warrant or prescribe that you need to in a timely manner address vulnerabilities. So if once a vulnerability becomes known, and not just to you, known to the world,
right.
That's important.
To the bad guys.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That means there's vulnerabilities that are out there, but once they become known, now the clock starts ticking, and cyber liability insurance is recognized, and we've seen addendums where if you're not addressing those things timely, your coverage will actually be reduced significantly over time, the longer you let those vulnerabilities exist. Okay, so enough about that. Let's get on to the third one. So now that you've gone through you established a baseline, you've worked on vulnerability management, now you need to document and capture these decisions that you're making over time for lots of different reasons. I know you're going to talk about them, but talk about now risk management, where you're capturing those business decisions that you were just talking about that the organization is making. Please illustrate.
Yeah, one of the things that we like to do is we like to show our work when you're working with security. You want to show that to the internal people you have to see that the business is being more secured and that you're spending the resources you have appropriately, and also to potentially external parties that are going to come knocking and say, did you do enough? One of the ways you're going to establish that is to show your work when it comes to decision making. One of the tools we really, really like and believe in and has been working really well for our clients is what we call risk register. That's simply finding anything that comes up that is not where it should be, that could potentially be a risk to your business or information. We capture that. When did we find it? Have we resolved it yet? What is the finding? What would the threat be if it happened? And it allows us to do a little bit of assessment to decide how bad would that threat be to our organization? Would it shut our doors? Would it just be a minor inconvenience? Once you start doing a little bit of that work, you can then prioritize the efforts you're going to put into resolving these things. We can't do it all at once, but we can certainly address the most critical problems first. And this is a great tool for showing internal accountability. Whose job was it? Was it your MSP? Was it an internal resource? Was it somebody else? And you can then show over time, even through transitions of staff and team assignments, who's got the ball. and show that over time.
Yeah, I think the other part about that is that you can demonstrate your due diligence and due care.
Yeah.
Right. If one of the things about organizations, if you ever get into a litigious or risk situation, potentially with your cyber liability insurance or with a customer or vendor, if you can prove that you're doing your due diligence and demonstrating due care over time consistently, it puts you in a much better defensible position, again, with the reality that it's well understood that businesses can't solve every problem at the same time. And so if you're showing your due care and demonstrating that you built a plan, prioritizing the plan, and then executing on the plan and capturing that, showing your work, that puts you in a better position. So,
absolutely.
And that risk register, it sounds complex, but as James is showing, it's just as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, right?
We're happy to share this template out with people. Hopefully it helps them make some traction in their own organization.
And I think that'll help me close this out, James, is that, look, we actually believe that organizations, this is a muscle that we really need to flex and start working on, because it's not something that organizations are used to doing. And we believe that you can self-service this stuff.
Absolutely.
As James mentioned, you can go download the templates, you can go do this stuff, but chances are, I've been in the technology world for over 20 years, and I still wouldn't want to do this myself. I'd want someone like James helping me to make sure that I'm interpreting this stuff appropriately. So that's really what we're suggesting, and why we're offering this program, is because we want to be able to walk alongside you, help you on this journey, help you build the program. And if you're to the point where you can self-serve, that's ultimately what we really want to be able to accomplish. If we can still help you, we'll help you, but ultimately we want you to be able to self-serve. So look, we hope you enjoyed this Mytech Brief episode on our cyber security leadership and advisory services. This is what we call CLAS. If this session was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more content from Mytech. Also check out our website, mytech.com, for more resources on Microsoft 365, cybersecurity, digital productivity, strategic planning, budgeting, and everything else we do to make IT easy for our clients. Thanks again for watching. We hope to see you again soon. Until then, be productive and stay secure.